Hello again, welcome to another hot day in Hampshire, but at least there's a breeze today, so hopefully everything will stick better. I'm not too sure what I'm going to be doing today, but I will catch you up with what I have done. So, this is all dried now. If you remember, I put the clips on at the end of the last video, and what I have done now is I've just painted around the edges because these edges will be they'll show, so including what will be the ceiling. So I've gone all round just on the inside, which wasn't really necessary because it's not going to be black inside. I think inside it's going to be grey and white, so I may repaint the inside, but all around the outside, just on the edges. And that is just so that when I put the patterns on the outside, there won't be any, if there's any small gaps, it will be black. And I've done the same to the door, which I have cut down slightly because I don't want it to be such a snug fit, so I cut it down just a tittle little bit. So the next thing, the spines. All the spines, I have inked the edges with, obviously this was red ink, and I used Tim Holtz inks. I've had them for years, and then on the back I've added 2 strips of cardboard, one on top of the other, so it's not a great deal if I show you it that way. I don't know if you can, there, so it's not a great deal, just a tiny bit there, and I've painted the top and the bottom black. And I just used normal acrylic paint for all of the painting. And this is so that, because you will get a slight bit top and bottom, when it opens up, you won't notice it so much because it'll be black. So I already put on the hinges. Oh, my brain! And what I did was, it's going to be hard to show you this way, but I used this ruler because it's my thinnest ruler. I put it like this. I then put this and balanced this in here. So I had this slight gap here so that I knew it would be, there's that gap and it'd be easy to open and close. And then I marked on there where the hinges would fit, so you probably won't be able to see it, but there was a tiny there little mark where it's going to go, and the front of the hinges are actually going to be screwed on. I'm actually going to use screws because this is, the depth of this should be enough to do that. The front and the back covers, now these obviously go here and here, and all I've done is I actually use the cardboard. This isn't actually necessary, I just think it looks quite nice when it's done. And I cut it out. Now this is 5 1/8 by 8, I think, was it 8 1/4? 5 1/8 by 8. So these, I took a 1/16 of an inch off, so actually I took an 1/8 of an inch off, so this is 5 by 7 7/8, just so it's slightly smaller so that it would be wrapped easily. So there's a little bit of a gap each side, and I'm just going to wrap these, and I will then ink the edges and they will go on here. But once again, this is something that you do towards the end, because if there's anything that I want to do inside where I'm going to need, perhaps if I choose to have lighting inside or anything like that, I'm going to want to put holes in the walls. So obviously this is to cover all of that afterwards. So I will prepare these, I'll glue the edges and I'll ink them down, but that's all it is. I want to measure the insides. If you're doing a ring box, a lot of people will plan them out meticulously. I don't do that. So I'm looking for my book. I have a book where I plan things, There it is. And my idea of planning is this. See, it's all just, and it's really, really quite untidy and will only make sense to me, really. And that's my plan. As I have an idea, I will write it down and I'll try to keep it all on one page so that I don't lose, because if I put it on another page I might not look at it and I'll forget it. So to plan the inside, I do have some idea of what I want to do inside, but to plan it I need to measure what the inside will be. So, and of course I have to take into account on this one the walls, and I have done a line. I've put this in place and I've drawn a pencil line around, and I have to also take into account the fact that the door is going to come in 1/8 of an inch. What have I done with the door? No, there's the door. Yeah, the door is roughly 1/8 of an inch. See, it's about 1/8 of an inch. So I have to take 1/8 of an inch off of the measurements. And what I like about the Tim Holtz ruler is there is no gap at the end. Most rulers have a small gap before they start their numbers, which means it's really difficult to measure things from the inside. So this is 5 and it is 5 1/8. So I have to take 5 1/8. This is 1/4 of an inch. I have to take 1/4 of an inch off of 5 1/8. So that's 4 7/8. So the depth will be 4 7/8. Now I have to write that down. Oh dear. Oh, my book's here. That'll do. Pencil. Right, so side walls 4 7/8 by, let's measure this, 7 3/4. I actually have got 7 3/4 written down there, by 7 3/4. So the back wall. Let's get rid of all of this. Oh crikey, look at that. I've stuck that to there, and I know why that is. That's because I put the super glue, as I said I would. I ran a bead of super glue all the way down this edge. You can see where the super glue ran down. I did actually put quite a heavy bead along there, and it's done its job. So side walls, back wall. The back wall is, now I've got 8 1/4 here, so it is 8 1/4. So it's 8 1/4 inches by 7 3/4 inches, because obviously it's the same height. Now I do want to measure this, and obviously I do have that the ceiling, the top will be the same size, so I can just measure that, and it is 8 1/4 by 5 1/8. So floor, no it's not, it is, right, floor and ceiling I'm going to put here 8 1/4 inches by, I have to take off 1/4 of an inch this way, don't I? So, and it should be 4 7/8, the same as the depth. Of course it is 4 7/8 of an inch. So now I've got all my measurements written down here, and now I have to think about what decoration I'm going to have inside. Now for me it's going to be panelled walls, and I could draw them all out by hand, but anyone that knows me knows that I cannot do anything in a straight line. I can't. Even with a ruler, I cannot cut in a straight line. It's just not in my repertoire of being able to do things. I will be using my Cricut. I have a Cricut Maker. My husband bought it for me for my birthday this year. And I've used it to make doll's house furniture. And I've made some amazing pieces, and I will show them. And it's been great fun. It's been a real boon and a real help to, especially if you're not able to use your hands. You know, if you're not as dexterous as you used to be, or you have certain problems. I have arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, osteoarthritis. Did I mention psoriatic arthritis? Anyway, so my hands, they swell up, and it's hard to grab hold of things. It's certainly very difficult to hold onto something and cut it with a knife and be very precise. So I use my Cricut Maker. But regardless of that, I will also give all the measurements of what I do in regards to the panels that I make. Because what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to panel it all first, and I'm going to panel the ceiling, and then I shall measure all the measurements, all the panel and everything else, and make sure that they're all given out so that it's all quite clear, we hope. So I am going to go and design the panels on my Cricut, and then I will be back and show you how it comes along. So this may be another day, because it may take me quite a while. There I am. Okay, so this was my plan. I said I wanted the walls to be panelled. This is my test piece. So basically what I've done is I've printed off a picture twice, and I was going to draw the pictures, but it didn't work out right because they'd have to be exact. It was easier to print off the pictures that I wanted, which are from they were original, from the original book that's held by the, is it the Gutenberg, by the, no, I can't remember who has the book, but it's the original drawings for the book. And so I printed them off twice, and then on one I cut out all the panels. So these panels are it's going to be hard to see, but as you can see, these are 1/2 inch apart. These are 1/2 inch wide. Let's get it right. These are 1 and 16. No, let's get this right. 1 and 19/64 of an inch wide. So it's 1 1/3 inch. They are 3 inches in depth, and there is an 1/8 of an inch marked out inside each of the panels. So that what happens is I take these bits off and basically discard them. So here's my original picture printed out. Here's my frame, my panelling, all done. It's quite dark in here, isn't it? I just looked at the screen and realised how dark it was. See if I can rectify that a little bit. Okay, not a lot. Okay, so these are all my... I can't risk losing any of these, and it's going to be a right that's fine to get them all back in again now, because the idea was I was going to leave them on the mat until I'd finished putting it all together, but then I wanted to print another one off. So here's the frame cut out from the picture, here's a copy of the original picture, and the first thing I need to do is grab a glue stick, handy. Now I have to line this on top of here. Now the idea was I was going to have a plain one in between, so another one of these, bit plain in between, but it would have been too thick. I looked at my test one and it's just about the right thickness that I want. So I need to line this up as well as I can to the original picture. What do you think? I'm looking, I'm wondering, I don't know. That's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm just going to put on a bit of glue. When I've got this all lined up, that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is, okay, there's me saying it's a really good glue stick, and I didn't give it time to dry, did I? So it's coming off slightly. Okay, I'm going to use this glue, which isn't, it is tacky glue, but it's quite a thin tacky glue. I just need to get a pot to put it in. Okay. I don't like using my best brushes for glue, but sometimes I don't have much choice. Right, so here we go again. Do you really want to see me gluing this down? Probably not. So what I shall do is stop this now and come back when I've glued some of this down. I can't stop at this minute though, because I've got to do this bit before this bit of glue dries. Okay, that is now glued on, and what I've also done is done a pencil mark somewhere and I can't see where it is. Anyway, I've taken a pencil. This is the door frame that I cut out. This is again 1/4 of an inch, minus a tiny bit I think on the sides. The sides might be less than 1/32 of an inch or something. Placed it, I've doubled it up with a spare bit because I want it to stick out slightly. I might stick it out a little bit more, but I've placed it back in and drawn round because the door is going to be separate. Obviously I'm not going to have the door included in there. I want the door to be made separately. So this is all my door pieces, so I have to cut this very carefully, and I'm not very good at cutting, as you all know. So part of the reason why I didn't like the pencil idea was, one, it wasn't dark enough. It would take an awful lot to get all the lines right, but mostly because the pencil was too shiny. It didn't have the right, and when I made a reprint of a pencil drawing, it didn't have the right depth. So I decided to use the Pictures Direct instead. So now I can concentrate on filling in all these bits. Now you can use the frames to help you line up where things are going to go. For instance, this one goes here, which is probably what I will do because I am not very good at doing things by eye. So I will use the frame, stick the centre down, and then lift the frame away. I'm just doing the last little bit here. Oops, got a bit of glue on that, but it's not going to matter too much because, oh come on. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. Obviously it needs to be cut out around the edges, and I am going to then spray paint this. I'm just going to give it one very small coat of lacquer before I start getting out my paint and painting it, because the paint is soaking in too much on here. So all my pieces have been prepped. They've all been panelled, so all the layering's been done. They have been sprayed. I'm just waiting for them to dry off completely. But what I wanted to show was, if I can find, here we go. So this is the original picture. I don't know if you'll be able to see the difference on camera. Oh, you can. So this is the original picture, and this is the picture after it's been sprayed. As you can see, it's much more rich, I think. Even though it's only black and white, it is rich. It was a matte lacquer, a cheap one. I think it's used for car spraying, but it was a matte clear lacquer. So, and I think it really brings out the depth of the grey, really increases the shadows. So I'm really happy with that, and hopefully it'll be okay when I start to paint. This was my idea. I wanted to build a room based around Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, and have the reflections of his thoughts and his hauntings and his fears on the walls around him, which is why I have the pictures, and I've, you know, played around with them slightly, and yeah, that's what I want. That's my idea. And I'm hoping it's going to be a really nice diorama, rather than, I don't want it to be an arty-farty piece, so to speak. And it's just deciding now what to do with all of these little frames that I've got left over here. But yes, so I'm very, very pleased with how that came out. I think what I will do is I'm going to paint them before I put them in the room, because I also have to design the ceiling. So this one will be going back here, like so. And I haven't painted the top. Oh no, I don't have to paint the top, do I? Because that's going to be covered. So yes, that's going back there. And this one will be here with the fireplace on it. And this one will be here with a window on it. And then this goes on the, what would be the door, so basically it'll be that way around. So you're only going to see it when you open it, but I thought it'd be nice to have the whole area. And this, I'm thinking about having it slightly ajar. The door slightly ajar, ever so slightly, which means I will have to paint the back of this in black also. So I'm going to paint black here ready, and yes, and I think at the beginning I mentioned that these were not hinges. I think I said something else, and I said about I put the hinges on. Anyway, I'm rambling again. So that is the plan. So I'm going to not ink them, use the paint when these are fully dry. I mean, I only sprayed them about half an hour ago, so I want to leave them a couple of hours just to make sure. I know it is dry. It's certainly touch dry, but I want it to be properly dry. And then I will start using the ink to, yeah, I'll show you on my test piece. All I'm going to do is basically go round, oh, what am I doing there? I'm going to go round the edges there. I might go over on the back wall, it will be this side slightly, but certainly, yeah, deepening the edges here around so that it gives it much more depth, and you can see that it's panelling. Yes, I want it to look old and distressing rather than just distressed. It needs to look distressing because obviously the man is having terrible nightmares and guilt and feeling awful, so that's my idea. And I will probably be using lollipop sticks, popsicle sticks I think they're called in the States, for the flooring. And I will be making a pattern on the ceiling because I want a ceiling rose, I think. And I will be, what I probably will do is make a light fixture with candles on for the ceiling, which will not be able to be used. The only light will come from a lamp on the table and maybe a glow from the fireplace. We'll see. So that's it for now. I know I waffle on. You just got to kind of just go with the flow here. And I will be back very soon. And when I come back, this will be all painted black behind. Probably the window as well. I might even cut a bit out of here. No, I won't. No, I'm just going to paint that black. So that's it. Bye for now.